Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a story for you that still gives me chills just thinking about it. It's one of those experiences that makes you question what you think you know, and it all started on a perfectly normal Tuesday evening. I was living in this old house, the kind with character, you know? Creaky floorboards, drafty windows, a history you could almost feel in the walls. I loved it. It was my little sanctuary, nestled at the end of a quiet, tree-lined street. I'd just finished up work for the day, made myself some dinner, and settled onto the couch with a good book. The sun had set, and the only light in the living room was my reading lamp, casting a warm, cozy glow. Outside, a storm was brewing. The wind was starting to pick up, rattling the branches of the big oak tree just outside my front window. I've always found storms comforting, the sound of the rain and wind creating a perfect backdrop for a quiet night in. So I was completely relaxed, lost in my book, when a sudden, loud thud against the window pane made me jump. My heart hammered against my ribs. I figured it was just a branch tossed by the wind, so I took a deep breath to calm my nerves and tried to focus back on my reading. But I couldn't. I had this weird feeling, that prickle on the back of your neck when you feel like someone is watching you. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was just spooked by the storm. But the feeling wouldn't go away. It grew stronger, more insistent, until I finally gave in. I lowered my book and slowly, cautiously looked up at the window, and that's when I saw them. At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. Through the rain-streaked glass, I could make out two figures. They were just shadows, tall and slender, standing perfectly still on my porch, right outside the window. They were featureless silhouettes against the darkness of the stormy night. My first thought was that it had to be a trick of the light, maybe a weird reflection from my lamp, or the way the rain was distorting the view of the bushes. I squinted, trying to make sense of it, but they didn't waver. They didn't flicker or change shape like a reflection would. They were solid, and they were undeniably there. An icy wave of fear washed over me. Who would be standing on my porch in the middle of a storm, just watching? My mind raced through all the logical explanations. Maybe it was a couple who had lost their way and were seeking shelter? But why weren't they knocking? Why were they just standing there, so unnervingly still? I was frozen, my eyes locked on the two shapes. My cozy living room suddenly felt like a fishbowl. The reading lamp that had been so comforting now felt like a spotlight, exposing me completely. I slowly reached for my phone on the coffee table, my hand trembling so badly I could barely grip it. I didn't dare take my eyes off the window, terrified that if I looked away, they might move, they might try to get in. As my fingers fumbled with the phone, one of the shadows moved. It was a slight, almost imperceptible tilt of its head, as if it was looking right at me, as if it knew I had seen it. Panic seized me. This wasn't a trick of the light. This was real. My breath hitched in my throat. I couldn't scream, couldn't move, couldn't think. I was just trapped in this terrifying standoff. I finally managed to unlock my phone, my thumb shaking as I swiped the screen. Who do I even call? The police? What would I say? There are two shadows on my porch? They'd think I was crazy, but what other choice did I have? As I was about to dial, a flicker of movement outside caught my eye again. It wasn't the shadows this time. It was something else. A car's headlights swept across my front yard, and my neighbor, Mr. Henderson, pulled into his driveway. The beam of light illuminated my porch for just a second, and in that brief flash, the spot where the shadows had been was completely empty. They were gone, just vanished into the night. I stared at the empty porch, my heart still pounding like a drum. Were they ever really there? Was my mind playing tricks on me? But the fear felt so real, so visceral. I watched Mr. Henderson get out of his car with his umbrella and hurry inside his house, completely oblivious to the drama that had just unfolded next door. The storm continued to rage outside, but the cozy feeling was gone. I spent the rest of the night with every single light in the house on, jumping at every creak and groan of the old house. I kept peering out the window, half expecting to see the two shadows return, but the porch remained empty. I barely slept a wink. The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving behind a bright, sunny day, Everything looked so normal, so peaceful. It felt like a dream. But as I was making my morning coffee, I noticed something on my front porch, right below the window. I opened the door cautiously and stepped outside. There, on the damp wood of the porch, were two small, perfectly smooth, dark stones. They were placed side by side, right in the spot where I had seen the two figures standing. They weren't from my garden, and they definitely weren't there the day before. I picked them up. They were cool and heavy in my palm. I have no idea what happened that night. I've gone over it in my head 1,000 times. Was it an elaborate prank? Was it something else? I've never seen the shadows again, but I still have the stones. I keep them on my bookshelf as a reminder of that terrifying night. A reminder that sometimes there are things that happen that we just can't explain. It makes you wonder what else is out there, just beyond the light of our windows, watching from the shadows. What do you guys think? Have any of you ever experienced something similar? Something you just can't explain? Let me know your stories in the comments below. I'd love to read them. It's comforting to know you're not alone in these strange experiences. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.